Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm Kristen, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts today, Caitlin Belfontaine and Jane Nicholson. Today, we are sitting here with Rebekah Higgs, who you may know as DIY Mom. You've probably seen some of her projects online and on TV, and we're so grateful to have the opportunity to sit down with her today and talk about balancing it all. So again, thank you so much for being here today, Rebekah. Or actually, we're actually in Rebekah's house. So thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for coming to my house. It makes it a lot easier to fit everything in when people come to you.
And thanks for having this cute dog. Yes, we have a dog that Rebekah's babysitting here as a special guest.
Yeah, that's Sadie. She's my sister's dog, and she's a Boston Terrier, which is a really cute breed of dogs. And we're all growing quite fond of her. We don't want to give her back.
No, don't. Just keep her.
She's on loan.
As you guys can see, we're in this beautiful set, and it also made us think that maybe we should spruce our setup a little bit. But first, Rebekah, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Rebekah Higgs, and I've been working as DIY mom since 2014. So I grew up in Halifax, and I went to Acadia University. When I graduated from Acadia, I actually started writing my own songs and getting into music. So in my 20s, I spent my 20s as a musician, touring in a couple of bands, and I was on the road a lot, and I was making music my full-time job. And I was pretty good at making music my full-time job because there's a lot of grants and ways to access money in Nova Scotia, which was really helpful. So I did that for a long time, and we had a great run. I was on a couple of labels, and we toured around the world. We played international festivals, and we even opened for Cyndi Lauper once. My band Ruby Jean opened for Cyndi Lauper in Queen's Park for Pride in 2010 or something like that, to like 60,000 people. So that was really cool. So I had a great run with music, but after my daughter was born, I was living in Toronto. I really wanted to come back to the East Coast, and music was changing. Like, things were becoming, you weren't getting big what were they called? They were, you weren't getting advances. So music was really changing. Musicians weren't getting advances from their labels anymore. They were doing more 360 deals. The only way to make money was to be on the road all the time, sell merch. You're not really making money off of your music, except for if it's placed in video or TV or commercials. So I really wanted to make a transition. And when I got back to Halifax, I started getting involved in the film community. So that gave me an opportunity to kind of change directions, and I started working at Ag Films, which is no longer a company. But when I started working for them, they really taught me everything that I needed to know about video production, working with clients, and when that company closed, it made me think about life outside of the 30-second commercial, because I've been working in commercials for them. And which I loved, because it really fulfilled my ADHD needs to just always be doing something different and constantly be changing. So the commercial business was great, but then when they closed and I started thinking about, well, what can I do outside of 30 seconds? That was before influencers were a thing, and I had done a lot of research about branded content marketing, and I felt like that was the next direction for marketing. So I was like, what can I do to use my own personal abilities to create a brand and to do branded content? And I'd always loved to decorate spaces. I always loved to make places look beautiful. In university, they called me the Trailer Park Martha Stewart, because I'd take curtains and I'd take sheets and turn them into curtains. And, I was always making things and stringing lights up and making things look pretty. So, I thought, well, I could start making these little YouTube tutorials. And I was a mother of a young little baby, and so I wanted to do things that were easy for moms to do within the time of their, she's snoring, she's sleeping, within the time their kids are having a nap, So I started with small tutorials like wallpaper and hanging a barn door and chalkboard paint and, building little things. And as I got going and bringing in more brands and thinking about, what I could do, what other things I could do, how I could incorporate brands into my life and into my DIY mom programs, that's when things started to expand more. And that's when Belle reached out to me to do the TV series. So started doing the TV series. And so from there, that's kind of just how DIY Mom came to be.
Amazing.
So we came across DIY Mom on Instagram, and we've been following along, and we see you have an amazing following and have built an amazing community. I'd be curious to hear your take on when you're doing DIY Mom from a business perspective, and then when you're doing it as an influencer perspective, and how you sort of balance the two.
Yeah. Well, this whole influencer marketing thing is really kind of new.
Right.
And part of me thinks like, well, this is kind of too good to be true. How long is this going to really last? So I'm trying to build a business that's going to be sustainable for me post influencer marketing, but also use the leverage and the following I have to incorporate that into the deals that I do with sponsors and brands. So I work with over 50 brands and sponsors for all of my DIY Mom, the TV show, and my products. And so often I will link in my social media accounts with the video productions that I do for them. So I might say like, in exchange for this, you'll get a Instagram post or and a video or a spot in the TV series or some stories. And so sometimes I will use the social media kind of as a pivot point or like another way to bring the brands in. But then other times people reach out to me just specifically for a social media post. So I don't have to necessarily build them into the TV show. And then a lot of things, even with my daughter, that lifestyle wise, like I'm doing a partnership with Halifax Learning right now because she was struggling to learn her alphabet in school, and I really didn't want her to fall behind. And, as a single mother, you kind of feel like you failed your child, like all these other kids know how to read. I'm going to cry because I was like so upset when I realized that she's the only child of a single parent in her class. So I felt like, why doesn't she know her alphabet? Like I was too busy. I didn't teach her alphabet. So partnerships like that are really great for me because they bring in the opportunity for me to better her life. So sometimes people come to me and want to work with my daughter on something. And the Halifax Learning thing was great for me because it's amazing how quickly she's picking up on things that she didn't have an opportunity to learn before. So I just want her to feel smart and like not behind in school. I want her to do well in school. And I was reading that Michelle Obama book. Did you guys read that?
Yes. That book. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's just like us. Isn't it? Like Michelle Obama is just like us. I know,
but it like made me upset to think that from the age of 5 you can kind of like determines how well you're going to do at school.
It can, yeah.
So I was sort of like
impressionable.
I don't want her to always be satisfactory in school or people to think that she's just satisfactory. I wanted her to get those gold stars and to be proud of herself and to feel like she can achieve and succeed. Because Michelle Obama was like determined even at 5 to get all the gold stars. So anyway, so that's, I don't know if I really answered your question.
No, you did. You totally did. It was like, I think what I take away from your answer is that it's really a nice balance of the two, and you kind of use one can, kind of play into the other, or they can be kind of separate, but it's a nice opportunity to be able to leverage a social media community with your day job, I guess we could call it.
So I just try to leverage everything that I can, because for me to be creative and to do my own thing and to be self-employed, you really do have to have your fingers in all kinds of different areas. So sometimes video production doesn't keep me busy enough.
Right.
And so I'm really grateful for those partnerships where they just want me to post a picture or write a caption or do a giveaway or a contest or some stories on my on my stories on Instagram. And I try to keep my stories on Instagram like really fresh and real and, unedited and fairly unfiltered. And, you see shots of my house when it's messy.
I was excited to see the plants outside because I was like, I saw those plants coming together this weekend.
So, and then the stuff on the feed can be a little bit more curated and more like, people work really hard to keep their feed looking a certain way. And sometimes mine looks great for a while. Sometimes it gets a little chaotic with other things going on, but and then I try to bring it back to the colors and the look that I'm going for on my feed. But it's really just all about using whatever you can to bring in the money.
It's also nice that it's authentic.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
Because so many people, I mean, I hate to use the word sellout, but what you're posting and the content you're posting is authentic, and it really connects with the people who consume your content. So
thank
grateful
you
for that.
Yeah. So being a single mom is literally like a superpower, I feel like. So I was raised by a single mom, so I've like seen it all and how hard it can be. So my mom was not an entrepreneur. She worked like a 9-to-5 job, and even that was still hard, like going to soccer practices and all the like ringette practices and all that kind of stuff. So how do you balance it all? Like, not only just being a mom, but you're an entrepreneur. And like, we even find it hard balancing our social life and being an entrepreneur. So how do you balance like being a single mom and an entrepreneur?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because it's very tricky. And I literally just took her out of like every activity that she was in, because she was whining about going to dance. And I was like struggling to get her to dance on Mondays and Tuesdays after school, and rushing around. And like, I was like, why am I rushing so much to try to get her to all these things when she doesn't really want to go? And then I'm spending all this extra money. So I just like was like, I'm going to try again in a couple of years when she's a little older and mature. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. At the moment, all she's interested in is play dates and like being with her friends. So she has like a play date almost every day after school. But I try to do most of my work between the time that she gets on the bus at 8:30 and when I pick her up off the bus at 3:50. So luckily I haven't had to do after school care programs or anything like that. I've been able to get through a lot of stuff in a day. I've always been pretty... I've always been a fast and efficient worker. So now I've started to block out my time. And so like if things that I think are important, like this morning I wanted to go get up and exercise, start my week off right. So I went to an hour hot yoga class, and then I have the podcast with you guys, and then I have a lunch meeting, and then I have to do, some content, like I have to curate my content for a few of my clients. So I'll like block it into time frames, and I'll just try to get as much done within the course of that time till 3:50 when I pick her up from school. So if I have a little bit of extra work to do in the evening after she goes to bed, then I will go back and do my editing and a few things at night before I go to bed. But for the most part, I find if I use my time really efficiently, then I can get it all in, and I get to spend a good amount of time with her, because I have her with me in the morning before she gets on the bus, and I get her after school. So luckily, I feel like the entrepreneur thing, the working for myself, has really helped me. I think I couldn't imagine having a 9-to-5 job and being a single mom, because then, or even if you had to take the bus, like if you didn't have a car, I'm so thankful for everything that I've been able to build here in Halifax, because it's made my life so much easier. And a lot of people say, like, some people, say that I'm not a real single mom. Like there's like real single moms out there that have no support network and nobody to help them. I have my family and my sisters and my fiance, people that come over and help me, on a regular basis. So yeah, like I find that being an entrepreneur has actually made it easier to be a single parent. Okay. And that's like the thing that I feel I was listening to a podcast. I love listening to podcasts. I was listening to Freakonomics, I think it was. And they were talking about how people aren't getting married. And that there's not like incentive for men to marry women or whatnot. And that in 1965, 5% of the population was born to a single parent. Most of them were of, a socioeconomic background that maybe was at a disadvantage, or of, not of a white race, people that were not as privileged as I am or in my position. But in 2014, they re-polled, and 40% of babies are now being born to unmarried women. So that made me feel like I'm actually not a minority anymore. Like I'm actually the norm. Yeah. And a lot of those babies are being born to white, educated women who just want to just live their life and have a kid, and they don't want to wait for a man, or even like they decide not to get married. It's their choice. So in a way, like that made me feel like there's a community that I can connect to. There's a lot of people that are looking for people to look to or inspiration for their own situation. And it's not that odd that I'm a single parent, because I used to feel when she was a baby, like nobody else was a single parent. Nobody else in my family is a single parent, like I would feel more of an outsider, but reading those facts and listening to that podcast actually made me feel like I'm actually, in a large community of people that are looking to.
So really like finding like the support of other people and definitely like blocking off your time helps like that. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister was telling me that you can only do there's out of 5 things, you can only do 3 things really well. It was like work, friendship, exercise, sleep, and family.
Brilliant.
And that you can only do 3 really well. Yeah.
Interesting.
So so I was like, okay, how do I figure out? Because I was like, I'm not working hard enough to engage and like have my friends over and do things and stuff. So then I was like, okay, if we have like the kids and the friends at the same time for dinner, then it's like family and friends. Or if I invite a friend to like work out with me, then it's exercise and friends.
Brilliant.
I'm like, how can I get it all?
That's a really interesting way to think about life, though. Like work, exercise, sleep, family, and friends. And then like,
how do you do those things really well?
And all of them.
And I put sleep like at a top priority,
right?
Because I'm like need that 8 hours of sleep.
We all love sleep.
Oh my God.
We talk about sleep all the time.
I'm a big nap girl. I love naps.
I think that's another thing with being, making sure that you are juggling it all really well too. For me, sleep is a big thing, and getting my daughter a good night's sleep. She needs to sleep from 7:30 to 7:30. Wow. Like she needs that 12 hours of sleep. And then she's a much better kid.
Because how old is your daughter?
She's 5, but she's going to be 6 in a couple weeks. She's having a birthday party, and she's so excited about it. Yeah.
Does it have a theme?
It's at Get Air.
Oh,
so that was really fun.
Yeah,
they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we wanted to do a party for you," and I was like, "Perfect timing! It's my birthday.
Let's do it."
What do I have to bring? All I have to do is bring like water and a cake or something.
See? Work, family, and friends. Yeah, all happening all together. You've ticked all 3 of your boxes.
That is the good thing too about social media is that as long as you are like incorporating things that work with your lifestyle, then you do get to like use your work as a way to spend time with your family.
That's brilliant.
Your friends.
So we were talking a little bit about your work support system. We talked a bit about your family. What does that look like for you?
So my mom and dad, when I renovated this house, my parents actually lived with us for a year after we finished. So they were here and they were helping me a lot. And my parents, they're just like very involved. They like to get into everything that I'm into. So they are definitely involved in that. Last week I was renovating and decorating a 2-bedroom, 2-floor apartment to get my new Airbnb out. And my mom came over and helped me for a couple days, and my fiance moved all the furniture for me and built a bed frame for me, and my sisters came over and helped me paint, and I also like incorporated a Marks campaign into it, so I was like trying to get all that done. But we're a fairly creative family, so I think they find it fun to be involved in stuff. We see our family almost every Sunday if we go to church, and then we have lunch afterwards. So we get that chance to see our family and having the kids all connected because they have a lot of cousins, so that they get to see their cousins. So that's a nice way to keep the connection going.
Brilliant.
Very cool. I was wondering how your daughter, what's her name?
Lennon.
How does Lennon kind of influence your career as DIY mom? So not just the mother, but the brand itself.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be a do-it-yourself mom without Lennon.
She's the mom part.
And also I think of it as being a single parent, or a solo parent, or a single mom, or whatever you want to call it, that I'm doing it myself. So a DIY mom is also another way of saying like a single mom, or like I like to think of myself as a creative single mom, or a single mom that does renovations, or a mom that does creative. It does things creatively. So for me, it's just a matter of building a future that's going to be sustainable for us. That's why I do the Airbnbs and try to put as much of my brand work, my video work, my TV show work into things that are going to build me up for passive income down the road, or things that are going to continue to give me money, so that eventually, hopefully, I can work less and still make some money, not have to work so hard to make what I make. So that, like, she's really inspired me. She also inspires me to work really hard and efficiently when I do, so that I can have more time with her. And then some of the projects I'll do will be specifically catered to, her age, or her room, or the decor, or the food, or the things that we do together as mother and daughter. And I remember one time she said, when somebody asked her, what did you want to do when you grow up? She said, I want to build houses like Mommy. Mm. So it's really cute that she is interested in these things. Some mornings I come downstairs and she's watching YouTube videos of like DIY projects that are like how to build your doll's like a wardrobe for your doll, and how to, like, it's all these little DIY videos for, doll houses and stuff that are really cute. So she likes watching those, or like cake making projects and stuff. So she likes watching that stuff. And she's really, she enjoys like putting on a show for the camera and being on camera, and she's easy to photograph, and so she makes it fun to collaborate with her.
She's an entrepreneur in the making.
It definitely sounds like she really looks up to you.
Yeah, and I think that the bond is just growing stronger between us too, because sometimes it's like she goes through these phases where it's like, Mom, no, and like so much attitude and just like being difficult. But then lately she laughs at the stuff I'm saying, and she wants to sing with me, and she's cuddly with me, and she wants to be around me more. Like, she's becoming more attached to me. It's like when she was a baby, attachment parenting was like all the rage. And I tried to do it, but I just couldn't, because I was like, I need to sleep. And I was like, so it was like almost a joke in our family that I was like a disattachment parenter. And then somebody said to me, oh, Rebekah, you're a dolphin parenter. And I was like, what's that? And she's like, oh, you let everybody else like raise your kid and do it.
Perfect. Sounds great.
I love it.
So I was always worried that she wouldn't attach or like feel connected to me, or that we wouldn't have that bond or something. But when you have that, like, it is a thing about having a child that is like this little person that is like a little extension of you. It's there, and she's creative, and she's interested in the things that I'm interested in. So we just naturally have a connection and a bond, which is really, it's the one thing that I know that is certain that I will have until the day I die, as long as I die before she does, is that daughter connection.
And that's why I think like being a single mom is like so special, because the bond is just like, it's like no other, really.
Yeah. Do you feel like that with your mom?
Definitely.
You
like,
still connect to her now?
Yeah. And I just
how were
you
as a
so
teenager?
much.
Because that's what I'm worried about.
No, I was just like, I never got in trouble. Me and my mom never fought. I was never in detention.
You talk about your mom like she's your BFF.
Yeah. Like growing up, it was just like us against the world.
Are you awesome. A single? Are you an only child too?
Yes. Well, I grew up as an only child. I have a half brother, but I didn't. Long story, but I didn't know about him till I was like 10. So, but yeah, and that was like on my dad's side. So only child,
you and your mom,
just me and my mom. Like, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
I like it, and I like that's why I feel like sometimes my fiance probably feels like he's on the outs, because I'm kind of like, well, it's me and her first, Like,
yeah, it's like you guys are like a dream team. You know, I totally agree.
And but then the other day I was thinking like, oh no, she's not going to have, her kids aren't going to have any cousins if they don't have another baby. Like, maybe I should have another baby just so that they can have cousins. Like, I was like thinking like that. And then he's like, well, if we stay together, then she'll have cousins, because he has kids.
Exactly. Yeah. That's cute.
Okay. You're a package deal.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
Being DIY mom, when do you know to like turn DIY mom off and just be mom?
Well, first of all, I find like the DIY mom thing is a bit funny, because somebody commented on a post the other day, like, to somebody who tagged them in a giveaway, saying like, since when do you follow mom DIY pages? And then I was like, oh my goodness, I'm like a mom DIY page. Like, I was thinking like, oh, this is super geeky. Like, why am I doing this? Like, I should just use my own name. I'm like a mom. And then it sounds like, it sounds like you're talking to 50-year-olds or something, but my demographic is actually 25-year-olds to 44-year-olds mostly. But then, so I was thinking, I should just go under, Rebekah Higgs or Decorating with Rebekah or whatever, so that people can connect more to the fact that it's a woman doing it, not necessarily a mom or a single mom, or like DIY can sound like really arts and crafty too.
True.
So, but for the most part, I live in a state of just being me all the time. And I actually bring myself to the DIY mom, not so much DIY mom being me and having to shut it off. I'm just me. And hopefully I can just do that if you listen to like Super Soul Conversations, you listen to all that stuff, all people are talking about is how do I become more me? How do I, that I am just in a continuous journey of becoming more of my natural self, of who I was created to be. So I'm not trying to like create a persona or like become something else when I do DIY mom. I'm just trying to like do authentically me. And it just happens to have that name. So there's no shutting it off. It's just...
You're always
yes.
Okay.
And I noticed on your content, you have a really great balance of your personal life and your DIY mom projects. How do you choose what you share in your personal life online?
I don't know if I make a conscious effort or if I'm like actually that strategic about it. Like some days I forget to post or forget to do a stories. And then other days I'm in bed with a pinched nerve and I'm just going to do a post from bed about how sick I feel. And then you realize that there's so many other people out there that have nerve pain and that they're experiencing that same thing. And all these messages are coming in and you kind of feel ridiculous that you shared something that personal, or like who wants to see a video of me without any makeup on, laying in bed feeling sick. But then when the response is like, oh, I have the exact same thing. This is what I did, or try this, or people really love the opportunity to tell you their secret or what they did to make their life better. So when you give people those opportunities to do that, they really perk up. And so it's a great way to get to know your community and the people that are following you on your social media community, because that's a great way for them to kind of tell you certain things, personally with them. Or like say I share something with my daughter or a frustration as a parent, a lot of people might either have solutions or things that they did that helped them in that situation, or they might just say like, that's so funny, we do the same thing, and they have a little bit of a laugh. It's like a little bit of a release for them. I guess I don't really have a filter. I don't really have a conscious filter. I don't know how to really filter. I could probably do a better job of that.
Do you ever struggle with sharing any of your personal life? So are there ever any instances where you're like, I don't know.
Like I didn't say like I peed my pants like twice last week or anything like that. Like I'm like, there's something wrong with my vagina. Like I don't go that far.
But I bet meaningful things. I bet that's why people like really connect with you. You know what I mean? Like you're just like relatable.
Well, I think that's a really kind thing to say, and I appreciate that, because I think that's kind of the goal, isn't it? That we all want to feel like we can walk into a room and people say, well, that's somebody I could really connect with. That's somebody I want to be friends with. And like sometimes when we put too many filters on things and we try to like make our lives look too perfect, it actually becomes pretty uninteresting. Yeah, so to me, I find that the flaws and the imperfections are what makes life more colorful and fun. And so not necessarily everything has to be perfect all the time. And people that I do see their Instagrams that are a little bit too perfect for me, for my taste, I might lose interest in it, or I may not follow along as closely, or I might not watch their stories. So I appreciate that compliment, and I think of it as a compliment, and I hope that I can continue to feel authentic and genuine, because it's a lot more fulfilling even personally to do that. Because when you're not like having to put on a false appearance all the time or feel like you're trying to keep up with the Joneses or then you can live a more happily fulfilled life than trying to just appear.
appear perfect
for the sake of social media.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a great place to end our conversation today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Love chatting with you. So where can people find you?
Well, I am on online all over the place, I guess. So my website is diymom.ca. My Instagram is diymom.ca. My Facebook is diymom.ca. And Twitter, I'm Rebekah Higgs. And I also have a video production company called Matriarch Productions. That's where the DIY Mom falls under. But any of the social media videos I've done for other clients are available through Matriarch as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Rebekah.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys could like and subscribe to our podcast, we'd be super grateful, or leave a comment in the review section. We'd love to hear from you, or reach out to our Instagram account at The Creative Hustle Podcast. And until next time, keep hustling.